Chernobyl.
Hi, this is Lisa Loud, and welcome back to Best Genre Ever. And of course, Albert Einstein. He's a genius. He's a little bit of scientist. I know. It's really him. So anyways, let's get started. Onto this, please.
Albert Einstein was so smart that scientists studied his brain after he died to figure out why. He was such an icon that Time magazine named him Person of the Century in 1999. But despite his fame, the world's best-known scientist had his secrets. The FBI kept a clandestine file on him, and yet an illegitimate child, to name just two. This is the story of Albert Einstein in full. Ooh. Einstein was born in Ulm, in southwestern Germany, on March 14, 1879.
Well, he seems a little bit
just a few
smart.
weeks later, where he grew up with his younger sister.
Oh yeah, I believe God is gonna love this.
His father gave him a compass to cheer him up. Einstein was amazed that the needle
cool,
always
he's
pointed
a
to the magnetic
genius.
north, no matter which way he turned the compass. In his autobiographical notes, he recalled, "I can still remember, or at least believe I can remember, that this experience made a deep and lasting impression upon me. Something deeply hidden had to be behind things. So began a lifelong fascination
this
with
is a nice lifetime
He later said if he
supply
had become a physicist,
But
he'd
think
probably
about
be a
that.
musician. He loved music, especially
But
Mozart sonatas.
still got smarter
Unlike many
than
geniuses, Einstein wasn't a child prodigy. He didn't speak full sentences until he was 5, according to his biographers. His parents were understandably worried, but when he got into school, Einstein came into his own. His family was Jewish, but he attended a Catholic elementary school, where he excelled as a student.
My goodness.
There was a rumor going around that he flunked math, but to the contrary, Einstein said that he had already mastered differential and integral calculus before the age of 15. For a while, his father Herman ran a small electrochemical plant, but he struggled to keep it going. Eventually, he moved his family to Italy in the hopes of finding new opportunities. Young Albert stayed behind to finish high school. But he hated school, where success depended on memorization and obeying authority. He was a rebel and apparently threw temper tantrums. One exasperated teacher even said he would never amount to anything. Einstein dropped out at age 15.
I spotted
He
my
also
eyes.
renounced his German citizenship, which got him out of mandatory military service. For a few years, he belonged to no country and loathed nationalism, preferring to be a citizen of the world. When he did eventually become a citizen again, it was Swiss. When he moved to Switzerland, he tried to get admitted to the prestigious Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. He did well in the math and physics section of the entrance exam, but is said to have done horribly in language, zoology, and botany. It didn't help that the exam was in French, so he didn't get in, and instead continued his high school studies. He was a good student, scoring the highest possible grade of 6 in many subjects, including math and physics. With this under his belt, he was automatically admitted to the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, where he had originally flunked the entrance exam. He enrolled in a 4-year teaching program in math and physics. That's where he met his future wife, Velma, the only female student in his physics class. Einstein's private letters, discovered in the 80s, caused a sensation because they revealed the couple had a child out of wedlock, a daughter named Liesl. According to their correspondence, Liesl was born in 1902, a year before her parents married. She was cared for by her mother while staying with her family in her native Serbia, while Einstein worked in Switzerland. March would later join Einstein, without the child. It's unclear what happened to their daughter. Historians believe she either died in infancy, probably from scarlet fever, or was given up for adoption. March and Einstein would have 2 sons after they married. the eldest, Hans Albert, said Einstein wasn't a good father, remarking, "Probably the only project he ever gave up on was me." In 1901, Einstein received his diploma to teach physics and math, but he struggled to find an academic position after 2 years of searching. He is said to have even applied to teach high school. Eventually, he worked at the Swiss Patent Office in Bern for 7 years.
Of course
this job
I
would be
ever
a
said
blessing
this.
in disguise. It wasn't mentally challenging.
Well, there is
He
no
found that
belief
when he
in
was done
this.
evaluating patents for the day.
Well,
he could
neither
use the
do
rest of
I,
his
but
time to work on
I'm
scientific
sorry, but I
research,
didn't
his
miss the
real
best genre ever.
1905 was Einstein's
But as
year
well-
of miracles. He wrote 4
Oh,
papers
what a
in
good
German scientific
relationship
journal
it is.
that changed the way we
Be
see
smart
the
out of
universe.
my brains,
I'll try to explain
telling
them
you.
as simply as possible. Einstein is believed to have said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough.
The first was his theory of light. Physicists at the time believed light was a wave, but it didn't make sense that light could create an electric current. Einstein proposed that light was actually made up of a stream of particles called photons, and these photons could knock an electron off an atom to create a current. This is the
Ooh,
photoelectric
still a little
effect.
bit different.
His second paper made a case for the existence of
I ain't
atoms.
giving
He
you,
observed
Todd.
what seemed like
Still
the
got a
random movement
lot of
particles
things to
in
get
water,
still.
and reasoned that it's not so random if the water is actually made up of invisible
Still's a little
atoms that
bit-
cause the particles to jiggle.
Still's a little bit
This was
tedious.
called Brownian motion, after the botanist Robert Brown, who had observed the phenomenon earlier. His third and most famous discovery is a special theory
Well,
of relativity,
Still's a little bit
in which
smarter
it's
than
impossible to
that.
say if two events
But
occur
here
at
we
the
go.
same time if those events are separated
Maybe
in
I
space.
believe this.
A, B, and C all happen at the same time. However, they appear to occur in a different order, depending on the location
That's a little
of the
bit
observer.
different.
Or let's say someone in London starts running at the same time as someone in New York. They would appear to start running at different times if the observer is on a plane flying between London and New York. Relativity is the basis
But
of the world's
seriously,
most
the
famous
scientists need to
formula.
know.
E equals mc squared.
And
His
C
fourth paper gave us this
squared.
equation, which shows how energy equals
Ooh.
mass times the speed of light
Please
squared.
live
In
too.
case you're feeling somewhat intellectually challenged at this point, Einstein once said, "Do not worry about your difficulties in mathematics. I can assure you mine are still greater." So under the right conditions, energy can become mass, and mass can become energy. Here's an example. Take a paperclip. To find out how much energy is inside of it, you'd multiply its mass by the speed of light squared.
Still
If you
multiply.
could turn every one of the atoms in this paperclip into pure energy, leaving no mass, then this paperclip will be as powerful as the bomb that destroyed Hiroshima.
Hello.
Indeed, physicists began to consider whether his equation might actually make
Oh,
an
what a
atomic bomb
release of
possible.
is.
As Einstein gained greater prestige,
I mean,
his
given
wife
it was
gained
simple,
more
I'm
household
telling
work.
you.
Marge was also passionate about math and science, but gave up her own ambitions to care for their children. There is even some evidence she helped her husband develop some of the concepts in his famous papers. In Einstein's
Well,
letters to
Phil's
her,
a
he
little bit
referenced
famous.
bringing our work on relative motion to a successful conclusion.
That's
The
a little
papers
bit of
were
conclusion.
transformed from an unknown patent office clerk to a renowned
Seriously,
genius.
they do
He would go
this.
on to teach physics at universities in Prague, Zurich, and Berlin,
I told
where
you
he
I liked
reacquired
that
German citizenship and spent his time during World War I. War, by the way, disgusted him. Although his professional life was going well, his personal life suffered. Einstein would write to his
That
first wife,
suffers.
Mary Windler, whom he met as a teenager. He spilled his heart out to her, saying
Dinkies.
how much he missed her and how he thought of her whenever he had a free moment. It was perhaps no surprise when he and his wife
Dinkies, I know
eventually
Albert
split up.
Einstein gonna
Marge
love
took the
this.
boys to Zurich, while Einstein remained in Berlin.
But
They
still,
divorced
it's a
in
little
1919,
bit
and immediately
sad.
after, Einstein married his first cousin,
Oh, that's
Elsa
too
Lowenthal,
bad.
with whom he had been having an affair for years. He would later end up cheating on Elsa as well. As part of the divorce agreement with Marge, she would receive money from a Nobel Prize if he were to ever win one. And he did, in 1921, for his theory of light, not his
Hey,
theory of
still got a
relativity.
genius.
There was
But
something
I
about
have
his
a
relativity
brain.
theory
Brain
that kept nagging
blast.
him, because it didn't acknowledge the existence
Brain
of gravity.
blast.
So he tinkered with it for 10 years before
Oh,
coming up
coming
with his
out,
general
Jimmy.
theory of relativity, which completed the picture.
But seriously,
200
that's my
years before
name.
Einstein, Sir Isaac Newton
I
provided
know.
the world with insight into gravity, but didn't explain how it worked. How is it that the sun pulls on the Earth? Einstein's general theory
That's
of
not
relativity
the reason
says
I'm
something
talking
heavy
about.
like the sun causes
But then
a
you
warp
okay, why
or dent
tribes
in
is
space.
over with?
The Earth is impacted by the dent and rolls around the sun like a marble rolling in a bowl. In other words, orbits.
Oh,
His
that
theory
was
also
another
suggested
word
that
for
light
that
from another
simple.
star would be bent by the
That's a
sun's
little bit of
gravity.
star
If
coming
this were
through.
true, then starlight passing by the sun would
nobody
be bent so
knows.
that we on Earth would think that the apparent location of the star is different than it really is. This theory was considered to be preposterous
Hey,
at the time.
is
and
that
could
a
only be
bottom
proved
Goddard?
during a total solar
It's
eclipse.
Robo dog.
The moon blocks out the bright light of the
Yes,
sun.
Jimmy
And that's
Neutron.
exactly what
Goddard
happened
is
in
a dog.
1919.
But seriously, definitely.
Astronomer Sir Arthur Eddington traveled to the coast of
But
West
serious,
Africa to
look at
photograph
this.
the total solar eclipse. The sun had in fact deflected the light. Recently, Einstein was proved
That was a
right
good
once
one.
again. Stanford
So-
University astrophysicists saw light behind a black hole for the first time, which is strange because black holes have such a strong gravitational pull that light cannot escape them.
Am
The
I
reason
gonna
we can
told
see
you
light
this?
is that the black hole is warping
Well,
space
still
and
it's a little
bending
bit-
light as predicted
That's
by
not
German
hard
relativity.
enough.
Einstein
Not
became a
that
celebrity
hard,
overnight.
but seriously,
Einstein
this is
recognized
so
thanks to immense
ridiculous.
press coverage, even though his theory meant very little to the
too.
average person.
I'm on
The world
track.
needed something to celebrate after a long and horrifying war. He began traveling abroad, going to Asia, the Middle East, and the US, where he gave lectures at Columbia University and Princeton. He published an essay on his first impression of America in 1921, noting, "What strikes a visitor is the joyous, positive attitude to life. The American is friendly, self-confident, optimistic, and without envy." He would make more trips to the US, and while on one of these visits in early 1933, he came to the stark realization that he could never return to Germany. The Nazis had come to power under Adolf Hitler, and Einstein was everything the dictator hated. He was Jewish, he was part of the intelligentsia, and he was a pacifist. A German magazine
Not
listed
actual
him as
covered.
an enemy of the regime, with a caption, "Not yet hanged," and reportedly put a $5,000 price tag on his head. When he returned to Europe, he went to Belgium, where he renounced his German citizenship. He then traveled to England. Einstein had offers to teach at Oxford and several European universities, but
Well,
chose to
that
emigrate
sort of
to the
reminds me of
US.
this.
He took up a faculty position at
Still
the
is a little
Institute
bit
for Advanced
genius.
Study in Princeton, New Jersey.
I
and
wonder
remained
what
for the
that
rest of
is,
his life.
huh?
Many prestigious American universities,
But
like
seriously,
Harvard and
okay.
Yale, had very few Jewish faculty or students as a result of discriminatory quotas. By the time he had arrived in the U.S., his best scientific
Hey,
research was already
what's-
behind him.
what's
Nothing
going
would trump his
on
theory
here?
of relativity or his other work.
I know the reason
He
what
tried
I'm
and failed
talking
to
to.
find one equation to explain
Do I
all
ever
of the
said
forces
this?
of nature. Despite the stability he found at the research institution, life wasn't always easy for Einstein. His younger son Edward was diagnosed with schizophrenia and suffered his first mental breakdown. His wife Elsa suffered from a painful illness that would take her life in 1936. And to his horror, scientists
Hey,
began to
that
look at
was a
whether his
reason what
equation,
I'm
E equals
taking
MC
to.
squared, could in
But
fact
nobody
make an atomic
cares.
bomb. Einstein
Me too,
detested
I know
war.
that.
He dedicated much of his time to writing
Guys,
about
come
peace.
on.
However,
Think yourself
despite
in
being a
any ways
pacifist,
here
he was
now.
alarmed by the
The
rise
Nazis!
of and signed a letter to President Roosevelt in 1939, warning him that the Nazis were working on an atomic bomb. This led Roosevelt to set up the Manhattan Project, the secret
Still gotta
American-led
shut up.
effort to develop an atomic weapon. Einstein's formula
Still
was
coming.
key to its success, but he wasn't involved with the project himself because the FBI didn't trust him. Washington considered him a security risk because of his association with the peace movement and socialist organizations. The FBI kept tabs on him. They had a dossier that grew to over 1,400 files. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover even recommended he be kept out of America under the Alien Exclusion Act, though this was overruled by the State Department. Einstein was also a civil
My, that
rights
was a good
activist.
thing in a
As a
minute.
Jewish scientist who experienced
Well, let me still
anti-Semitism in
just
Germany,
explain
he was taken
something.
aback by racial segregation
Did you?
in the U.S. In 1946, he traveled to Lincoln University, a small university in Pennsylvania that was the first to grant degrees to
Still
blacks.
got a bit in
He
on
gave a
time.
speech in which he called racism a disease of white people. I do not intend to be quiet about it. Yet it appears he was not immune to the disease. His private diaries would reveal prejudiced attitudes toward other races. In the 1920s, he traveled throughout Asia and wrote that the Chinese were an industrious, filthy, obtuse
Hey, still
people.
got a fun
It
fact
would be a
about
pity
brain.
if these Chinese supplant all other
Oh.
races. For the likes of us, the mere
Well,
thought
nobody
is
believes
unspeakably
this.
dreary. These words
This
are
is
in
your
stark
destiny.
contrast with his public image.
Still
In
wondering.
1940, Einstein
I
became
mean
a
it.
citizen of the United States. His commitment to the cause of peace led him to champion the creation of a one-world government. He initially rejected the idea of a Jewish state on the grounds of detesting nationalism. However, after seeing the persecution of Jews in Europe, he promoted the Zionist cause of a Jewish nation, even though he was personally torn over the issue. Einstein would say, "My relationship to the Jewish people has become the strongest human bond." Though he
that's
wasn't religious, he
exciting.
didn't believe in a personal God and preferred to be called an agnostic. The State of Israel was created in 1948.
That thing is
and in
real.
1952, Israel's Prime
But I
Minister
wonder
David
how.
Ben-Gurion offered Einstein the
Still a
post
little bit
of
smart
president.
enough?
Einstein declined, explaining that he had spent his life dealing with objective matters and lacked the aptitude and experience of dealing with people. He was smart enough
Deal
to
it
know
or
his
deal
own
it.
shortcomings. On
But
April
still a
17,
little bit
1955, Einstein
Whatever
checked
you
himself
say.
into Princeton Hospital in New Jersey after his abdominal aortic aneurysm burst. The aorta is the largest blood vessel in the body.
I really
He
love
previously had
this,
surgery
but
on it.
still
This
gotta
time, he
wait
refused
until you
surgery,
do something
saying it
right.
was tasteless to prolong life.
I mean
and that
it.
it was time to go. He died the next day, mumbling
Oh
a few
boy!
words in German
Oh
before
my
taking his last breath.
turkey
The nurse on duty
desolation!
didn't understand German and couldn't repeat
I
it, so what
said
he
I said
is
so.
lost in history. Einstein's
I
remains
lose
were
the
cremated,
control.
and his ashes scattered in a secret spot along the Delaware River. Those ashes
But I should
didn't
handle your
include
hands.
his brain. A pathologist named Thomas Harvey removed his brain so that
Ooh,
scientists could
still
try
got
to
a
figure
brain
out
on
why he was
it.
so intelligent. But he
Make
did
my
so without
nerve
permission.
okay.
After Einstein's family found
Yup,
out, he eventually
that's
got the
smart
okay
enough
to
than
use
a
the
brain.
for scientific research.
Be a genius.
Einstein's brain was found to be
Be
missing a
smart
bordering
looking.
region called the lateral
Looking
sulcus,
good.
which researchers believe may have led neurons in this part of the brain to communicate better. Scientists also believe his neurons used up more energy because his brain was found to have a higher percentage of glial cells, which nourish, support, and protect the neurons. The pathologist then cut up the brain into pieces,
Yep,
stored it into
that's
jars,
always the
preserved in
end.
formaldehyde,
But who cares
and
about
kept
the
it in his
endings?
basement. Today, the most celebrated brain in the world is in pieces
Still
at the Toono
geniuses.
Museum in Philadelphia.
Still got
It's
the
hard to
end.
imagine what Einstein would think of all this attention. He specifically wanted to be cremated so that people wouldn't worship his body. But worshipped he is. The 99th element of the periodic table is named after him.
Wow.
Einsteinium was discovered shortly after his death. Albert Einstein lives on as one of the smartest people
Well,
in
just
history,
hang on
who
a
changed
minute.
the way we view
Still
and
gotta
understand the
catch up.
world and the universe. He was influential in
is the end of
supporting
hospital
so
we
many
do
other
this.
causes besides science. He lived an extraordinary life. Wouldn't it be incredible if all of Einstein's lectures were available online?
Right now, there is a new way of learning, thanks to my sponsor, Skillshare.
Skillshare is an online learning community where you get access to thousands of classes on a variety of topics. There are classes on everything from learning how to create engaging YouTube videos with MKBHD.
First 10 seconds, I would say, is the most important 10 seconds of the video.
To editing those videos, to taking better photos with your DSLR. And with my special link in the description, it's free to try out for a month. Each class is broken up into short sections and there are no tests.
And again, Skillshare is completely free to try out if you use the link in my description.
Well, that's all for it. Well, join us for the next genre. I'm telling you.
Alright, thanks for watching.